Miracles happen every single day. Therefore, you should never stop believing and hoping. Here we are again with Beyond the Light. This lovely remark from St. Augustine is perfect for today's experience. Therefore, I'd like to start with it. Indeed, in today's narrative, a guy asserts that he has posed a question that other individuals yearn to have answered, the precise date of his second appearance on Earth. Relax and make sure you don't miss a single aspect of this amazing story by tuning in right up until the very end. Enjoy your listening. Excuse me, your videos of beautiful landscapes have kept me a subscriber for a while now. I wish to speak about my near-death experience, but I'd rather not be identified because my family rejected me when I told them about it. Some even went so far as to label me insane. I was even coerced into consulting with our church minister by my distant parents. Accepting that God can reveal things beyond this world is incredibly challenging for genuine believers. Do not hesitate to incorporate my knowledge into your channel. Please don't judge me based on my request for anonymity. I don't want or need the negative energy that comes with discussing a near-death experience. My near-death experience happened in the early 90s. I used to live in the dorms as a college student, and, maybe, I partied a little too much. My friendships with my drinking companions began to dwindle after one particularly wild night. I had a little too much to drink that night. As soon as I started to feel extremely hot, there we were, bar hopping around the university strip. I got up and went outdoors to get some air. After I had collected myself, if that's the correct term, I went back to the pub but still couldn't locate any of the gang. I learned afterwards that they proceeded to the next bar under the impression that I had departed. I returned to my dorm room after spending at least 20 minutes aimlessly around the club. Things started to get murky for me at this point. At one point, I decided to lie down for a minute as I rested on a bench at a bus stop. Because I blacked out, I don't remember how long that minute was. Upon awakening, or what I perceived as my awakening, I discovered that I was fixated on the bench. I was startled for a second before I realized I was staring at my reflection on the bench and that I was no longer intoxicated. Despite the fact that this ought to have terrified me, it failed to do so. The body I had abandoned had no emotional resonance with me. Actually, it seemed as if the long overdue liberation had finally come. That corpse was unappealing, and I had no desire to go back to it. I discovered I could see in all directions after I figured out I could look around effortlessly. Even fairway things and people appeared as though they were standing close by me. I had this gut feeling that I was meant to pass through a tunnel that materialized behind me, suspended at a height of perhaps 15 feet. Okay then. Initially, I glided slowly into the tunnel, but as time went on, I started to gain momentum. The sensation that swept over me as I dove headfirst into an unknown destination is indescribable. There was a complete dissolution of time. I can claim with certainty that I departed from Earth's atmosphere and traveled across space, but I am unsure of how far this tunnel carried me. Time becomes insignificant after a while once more. A distant light started to catch my eye. As I approached it, the light intensified. Like everyone else, I felt the overwhelming love that comes with finally seeing the light. Even with an infinite amount of time and words, I would still be unable to adequately convey the depth of that love to somebody who has never felt it. It seemed as though every nerve in your body had been smothered by a cosmic embrace. I noticed a man approaching me as I reveled in the intense love that coursed through me. He smiled like $1,000,000 and donned a white robe. I could hear him talking to me even though he didn't say a word when he got close. Those sentences seemed to be floating around in my mind. Although he never opened his mouth to speak, I could still hear them. "I've been waiting for you, my child," said the man. Me? I mimicked his psychic method of speech when I inquired. After saying, "Yes," Yuki went on. "And just in case you were wondering, you know me by several names, but Jesus is the one you associate with me. You have arrived at a pivotal point in your life, and I have picked this moment to meet with you. The decisions you make in the near future will dictate your fate. Do you have any idea what these options are?" I inquired. "Stand at this crossroads. If you want to know what the future holds, I can show you 2 scenarios, but ultimately, it's up to you to decide." As he extended his hand, Jesus placed his palm on my forehead. The first time I saw this vision, I was an elderly patient at a doctor's clinic. The doctor informed me that my liver was failing from all the drinking I had done when I was younger. Jesus then revealed to me my alternative future. It put me in a similar position to the first future, except this time I was a social worker helping troubled teens and making a positive impact in my neighborhood. I was around the same age. In every way, I looked better and happier. I asked Jesus, many people drink, as he took off his hand. Why did they pick me to see what would happen? I don't know what sets myself apart. The final image reveals itself only after all the pieces have fit together in a specific order, Jesus said in response. This has been the case from the start. Looking up at the sky should be enough to make you comprehend how many things had to align for life on Earth to be possible. A misalignment of even a single one would completely alter the composition. Although I am unable to explain your significance, I do know that you were selected for display. Ascend to your true form as a peacemaker, Earth. Before I started my descent to Earth, I wanted to ask Jesus one last question, so I turned towards the tunnel. I have heard your return promised to me my whole life. Do you have any idea when that is scheduled? That answer is known only by my Father, my child, Jesus responded. The path I had walked to reach the light was quite similar to the one I had to take to return to the tunnel. I slowed my descent until I was immediately over my body, which was still on the bus stop bench. A portion of my spirit did not wish to return to the corpse that remained motionless. It yearned to be back in the light, but as I peered around, I noticed the tunnel had sealed. A loud popping sound accompanied the abrupt sensation of being pulled back into my body. I grew up in an instant. I was chilly, but the euphoria had worn off. Curious as to whether I had met Jesus in my dream, or if I had truly gone somewhere, I got up, walked back to my dorm room, and went to sleep. In the weeks that followed, I worked up the nerve to confide in my parents about what had happened. I can honestly say that was my life-altering error of judgment. It was like if I was hallucinating or something. The pastor of my church was also called upon to advise me, and he almost accused me of having Satan inside me for blaspheming. Life shifted for me. Like I mentioned earlier, I cut off all communication with my parents and even cut back on alcohol. Cutting out drinking helped my grades, but it also caused me to alienate a lot of friends. It seems like people like to spend time with others who share their worldview. As instructed, I eventually earned my degree and relocated to a large American metropolis, where I am now employed as a social worker assisting troubled adolescents. Every day, I do my best to aid these children, and I still don't understand my place in the grand scheme of things, but I do know that I am a beautiful piece of the puzzle that is life. Maybe seeing my future was meant to be a result of one of them. Things will be revealed in due course. If you think Jesus will return to Earth, and if so, when do you think it will be? I'm truly interested in hearing your thoughts on the matter. This is a hotly contested topic, and I am interested in hearing the community's perspective on it. Your feedback is really appreciated, so please feel free to leave a remark with your opinions. Thank you for giving me the chance to tell you about this incredible near-death experience. I genuinely believe it is remarkable. Please use the email address given in the description to submit any comparable experiences you may have for consideration of being featured on this channel. Wishing you endless blessings until our paths cross again.